We got more stuff up here.
Yes.
The one thing I'm excited about is
we're not there yet. Hold on, we're getting there.
Oh yeah, that's the granddaddy.
contain your excitement.
We're also going to be introducing. This is actually a bolt. It's a modular bolt for Remington action. We'll have them for short action and long action. And it's for anybody who has, let's say, a short action Remington receiver. They want to rechamber it to something else. Most of the time, the bolt face won't be correct, but this has interchangeable bolt heads.
And there's just a bunch of fucking tofu eating fucking man bun wearing dorks and no pussy at all. Yeah.
You guys go all reach the button. Is he down?
Sorry, guys.
Is he a big one? Is he down?
I think this happened the last time on the last podcast.
I'm trying to get the damn shot.
Bullshit, man. Look at the thing. Farm wearing shorts. Yeah. That sack fucking hanging out. Don't fucking doubt the fucking 6mm. Shoot him, shoot him. All right, hold on. Hold on. Let's go. Let's go.
Those fucking Amish would have shot that motherfucker.
Got a face only mother can love. That's great.
Take two.
This is take two. I want to also state that was probably the best 7 fucking minutes we ever did in our lives.
Greg was absolutely correct. I believe this did just happen last time, and it wasn't mine.
You know, fucking Greg's an engineer when he brings that shit up.
So
Sorry.
we just got done recording
It's a genetic thing.
like 10 minutes, and we did intros and whatnot. So now we're gonna do it again.
It is, and I want to preface this that I am on uppers and downers, so anything that I say can't be held against me. Just putting that out there.
What is an upper and a downer? What does that do to you?
I'm on some Yeti.
But-
This is a pre-workout.
Okay.
Had a beer. I had prescription cough medicine, and now I have
Blackwood.
Blackwood bourbon, not whiskey, fucking bourbon.
You sound somewhat like an addict. I mean, is there anything you want to share?
No, it's
You want
not
to
on
start this off by my
not
name
on
is
this
Ryan,
podcast.
and I'm an alcoholic, or
No, that's when I start the shrooms.
that's
And I'm an
later.
addict. Yeah, it's later on in life.
We are going to try that though.
It is.
We have some psychedelics on the way.
Does anybody in this, like, this is an open question. Anybody at ADG have brain damage?
Ryan wants somebody to be able to partner with.
We actually believe yes.
Yes.
That was owner discussion. We can't prove it yet.
Okay, because I know. I mean, I'm telling you, I have brain damage from the military. So, anyways,
Moving on, we are here at ADG in Elizabethtown. Did I say that? Elizabethtown?
Yes.
Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Not, where did you say we were? Tennessee?
no. So whiskey comes out of Tennessee. Bourbon comes out of the great state of
Bourbon
Kentucky.
is Kentucky. Got it. And we got a few gentlemen here from ADG with us, and we'll let them introduce themselves again, starting with Marlon.
All right, I am Marlon Juronic, the Chief Operating Officer at ADG. My job is to keep everybody doing what they're supposed to do. I also deal with the finances of the company as well. But most of the time, I'm making sure everybody's sort of pointed in the right direction and doing the things they're supposed to do so that we can keep the lights on.
Especially this one.
Yes,
End of the table
especially
here.
the one on the end of the table next.
Greg Dennison. I'm the engineer with the case line. I handle all things technical on the ammunition side of the business, I guess.
Is this your third? Greg, you've been on this 3 times with us now?
Yeah, I think this is.
Nice.
Yes.
And I'm Chris Ordway. I'm a general manager and vice president, and handle all of the day-to-day operations of the rifle cartridge case line, daily operations. Greg handles all the technical aspects, and I'm involved in production planning, recruitment, staff training, and sweep up and inspect brass.
Have you been around the whole time? All you guys together been around the whole time?
I am the rookie of the team.
You're the rookie. Okay,
I am the rookie.
I thought
right.
so.
Yep. Yep.
Gotcha.
Were you ever a teacher, Chris?
No, no.
Because
We were talking about you at lunch, and I said a comment along the lines of like you're very well spoken, slow, methodical,
Yeah.
and similar to a kindergarten teacher.
yeah, like I have,
And
I have brain damage, like we've been over.
Yeah.
and I can when you explain something to me, like Greg, I'm like, fuck this, I can't even understand what Greg's saying, but you explain it in my layman,
Well,
brain
thank you.
damage terms.
you speak
Man-
Ryan's language. Is what he's saying.
Managing the case line, our operators, it at times it's much like managing kindergartners.
Oh
There you
shit!
And in the first take, I asked, I think it's interesting. You guys have multiple partners. Me and Jake have multiple businesses with multiple partners. And how do you make decisions on if you're going to bring a product to market?
Yeah. So when we make decisions, generally we'll hash them out as a group. So we'll sit in here and talk about sort of what the direction is it going, where we need to go on different products or these kind of things, looking at the revenue and the overall picture, and then everybody's intimate knowledge with the industry. Because we've been, I started in the firearms industry in 1995. Brent was a little earlier. Greg was a few years before that at Naval Ordnance, making muzzle brakes for 5-inch guns.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, the big stuff. And so we have many, many years, total as a group, as a company, we've got well over 250 years in the firearms industry, collectively. But with everybody in here being at like 30 years plus, several of us at 30 years plus in the industry, we kind of have a pretty good idea how it works, how products get developed. We've seen all of these different things and a lot of these different technologies come in. So we also can call people that we know, because whenever we go to a show anywhere, there's a lot of other people that we know that are at this company or that company, and kind of get a good idea of where things are going and where things are heading. And then that's also sort of how we carved our niche out when we started. And, with Greg was a huge key part of that. When we started with the case line, when we started our company, we started in cases. Everything else was just a stopgap to create cash flow to allow us to make cases. And as that has developed and our quality and reputation has grown over time, especially in the retail market, precision shooting and competition markets, right now we're looking at how do we take some of the things we've done and learned over this time and start branching out into more products. So as a group, we'll get together and we put it all on the table, the good, the bad, the ugly, play devil's advocate, talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, and be very upfront with everybody. And I think the biggest key is that we've all been able to, there's been meetings where we have tirades. We've had meetings where people will walk out. We've had those kind of things happen, but at the end of the day, everybody knows that we still got each other's back.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to stab anybody in the back. And at the end of the day, we're all pulling for the same thing.
What you just said is probably the most important thing. We talk about that a lot. Just the trust that you have in one another, and sometimes that doesn't go well for some business partners because they have their trust a little bit misplaced. But I think if you can count yourself as a good judge of character, then you're partnering up with the right guys to start. But so like Ryan said, is it an actual vote? Like there's 6 of you, and does it have to be a 4-2 or?
No, I don't know that we've ever really had a vote.
Oh, we ever had somebody record.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had an actual vote. I mean, we'll get into some things where you're not excited about it, but at the end of the day, we've had lots of discussions about, look, we do trust each other, even though everybody has their own level of idiosyncrasies. Some people worse than others. They're not in this room, so I can say that. And,
So Greg comes into your meeting that you guys do like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Is there a set schedule for a meeting?
Not totally set, but you definitely, we try to do at least monthly, but we'll be all together in different aspects. And then we're all in one, if you guys saw in our main office, we're like all together in that office all the time. So we're talking all the time.
So let's say, for example, Greg gets fired up and he wants to start making like baby binkies, right? And he comes there and he's like, I got this fresh idea. I want to make this new baby binky. It's going to be a game changer. Right. And he has a whole business plan. He pitches it to you guys. And the other 5 of you are like, Greg, we don't make baby binkies. So how does it go? There's never been a bad idea that you guys shot down, or?
I don't know that there's been ideas that just never really made it, made it, because if you do one, you need to have somebody that's going to drive it, right? From the back end. And then, and because all of us are different, we're not all the same. So because everybody has a different role, everybody's got to be together to move any project forward.
That's true.
With us. So we don't have if you had two partners that do the same thing, so like they're both sort of like chief operating officer kind of level people, right? So they both can tell people what to do, and that's what they do. That's one thing. But in our case, it's a little bit different because each of the owners has a different function. Like Chris was talking about, as general manager, he's going to be putting the people together and putting the plan to make it actually happen at production level, right? Greg is maybe going to be doing some of the technical stuff. I might be looking at the finances and also helping on the engineering and the material and manufacturing side from efficiencies. Brent and Mark would be doing possibly product design for it all. So at the end of the day, if we come up with an idea, we're going to flush it all the way out and say, yeah, hey, this is a good thing. This is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we all have a very honest discussion with each other that when we decide as a group, even if we have to vote, right? If we decide that we're going to head down this path and we've decided, you know what, ADG is now announcing today that we're no longer making brass, we're making baby binkies. Right?
You'll make it happen.
They're going to be badass binkies. You need one.
Yeah.
If we've decided that, and then everybody needs to pull their damn pants up and we're marching down that lane together as a group.
Nice.
It's interesting you said that you've been in some heated debates and some people walked out, because the three of us have been in some heated debates. And not necessarily walked out, but it gets intense. And people are passionate about what they want and what they do. So it's I like the entrepreneurial side where it's not all, rainbows and sunshine. A lot of hard work goes into it. And then there is a lot of emotion. At the end of the day, you still got to feed your family, you got to pay your bills, and you want to put out a freaking fantastic product.
Right.
So it's sick. I can't even freaking fathom how many partners you have. And putting 6 of our personalities together, I don't know if 6 would work. We all end up shooting at each other.
Most of the time, though, the conflict comes from some type of miscommunication.
Yes.
Whether it have been, you didn't communicate, you've been out of touch for too long, or the point you're trying to make about your baby binky, being the badass doesn't come across right. Whatever the situation might be, it's generally a communication problem one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I think anytime we've had a particular problem, it often is because, as Marlon described,
when we're in our central office, we're all in that big room.
Yeah.
There is an assumption that everyone is engaged in the conversation or hearing the conversation. So I think more often than not, it might be a necessary thing of making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yep.
And not assuming that, if Mark happened to walk out on the production floor, that he knew exactly what we were talking about, and circling back on that and making sure that, everybody does understand, here's what we're doing. We're making baby binkies. Here's why. Here's how that accomplishes the spot on the wall. And, when we've had disagreements, disagreements and those enthusiastic debates.
Yeah, enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's healthy. What's not healthy is when you don't have the enthusiastic debate.
I agree completely.
100%.
So I think that's, Marlon, what he described earlier, being the rookie on the team. One of the things that has been a huge part of what I appreciate about the team is these guys, all of us can disagree and it not be disagreeable. And that afternoon, whether it's 8:00 at night or 8:00 the next morning, we're cohesive again.
You're on to the next.
We're on to the next. Everybody understands where the spot on the wall is in terms of making sure that the company is still producing a world-class product, making sure that we're accomplishing our strategic goals while also fulfilling a need of our customers. And, too often companies lose track of that, and it can happen just like that.
Definitely.
When I heard the name of your, ADG, people just say your, acronym ADG, and then it's Atlas Development Group. I was like, how the fuck does that correlate to brass? But now this is starting to make sense, what we have on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you went through about what else you guys do, because that never really rang true to me, even in our other podcast, until coming here and seeing what you guys the whole thing what you got going on.
You said you are making an attempt to change that, switch that over just to the acronym. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah. So we're making a change to rebrand ourselves, if you call it that. So we're not brand managers by any means or marketing gurus. So we're going from Atlas Development Group just to ADG. DBA, ADG.
Yep. That's what you're basically known as. Nobody really ever spells that out. That
No, nobody ever really spells it out. Hardly anybody does, except for cold calls and marketing people that are trying to sell us in India.
You're gonna change it now when it makes the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes
Fair
sense.
enough.
It
Yeah.
makes
Fair
sense
enough.
to be nice.
That's what people generally know us as. And so one of our, like what Ryan was alluding to, one of our other businesses that when we started, right, we did the case line. So we started manufacturing brass is what we wanted to do. And we always saw ourselves as a manufacturing company. We wanted to do that. And the other things that we did when we started were all just to create cash flow to keep us alive during the time, because we knew it was going to be some period of time before we'd have everything up. And then we had enough people to run that and everything else. So we did the consulting business. Of course, we had all come out of, like, I started in the firearms industry in 95. So coming up on 30 years. This next year, and it's amazing. But anyway, and so collectively, we have over 250 years of experience in our company in firearm design and development. And that's what a lot of people don't know. They just know us for the brass, but we've been developing and designing firearm platforms from pistols, rifles, shotguns, everything, barrel systems, trigger systems, semi-autos, bolt actions, of every different flavor of firearm you can think of. And we have been involved with that at Remington. Most of us all met or paths crossed somewhere at Remington at some point at the R&D center. And then people went away on different places. And then we all came back together in 2015 when we started this. And then the consulting business we started on the side, and we've consulted with over 62 companies in the firearms industry. We don't share who we consult with. Mainly because we have pretty strict confidentiality agreements, but we are involved with a lot of different products on the backside, designing firearms for large companies and doing the product testing for them and the product validations and getting them all the way into the production side. And through that time, of course, we have developed a lot of things and made a lot of money for other companies. And so now at this point, we're looking at starting to introduce our own products as we come out. So we've got a few trinkets. And so it's kind of funny because on the table we have our bipod feet that'll be out for real. I got to say for real, because the people who have been watching these bipod feet, I think we first introduced them probably in 2017.
Wow.
We had them at SHOT Show. So we were just following the normal firearm procedure of you show stuff that is you're never actually going to make.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, whose idea was the feet in 2017 and how did that come about?
And before that, that's an interesting market to go after. And what are you trying to prove with that? Not like what's the end case as far as you don't make a bipod per se, but you thought you could make a better foot? Because it's like you got to educate the consumer on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So one of the problems with most bipod, and some of them do have spike feet now. So one of the things is like our bipod feet. There's two different designs: a single spike and a 4-spike. And a lot of people, the bipods are really well designed, especially now. There's a lot better ones. But the feet really were either like rubbery or it's a weird single spike kind of thing, and it doesn't really grab. Or the single spike's supposed to be into dirt normally, like softer ground, but then if you put it in real soft ground, it like just goes in. And so one of the design of our spike feet were a couple things. One was the spikes get dull, so you want those replaceable for sure. Ours will ship with 1/4 inches installed of hardened steel spikes. But we also use the same thread pattern as track spike shoes. So you actually could go to any sporting goods store that sells track stuff and buy track spikes and put them in if you wanted. Now, track spikes are generally going to be made out of aluminum or soft steel, so they'll wear down a little faster. But then the design of them, so the single spike design has a sort of a concave, and it's really for softer surfaces because it kind of will get into that dirt and it makes a mound,
Mm-hmm.
and so it prevents slippage in softer surfaces. And then the quad spike has sort of this castle top cut, so it's got lots of sharp edges for harder surfaces. And so the quad spike one will work a lot better on harder surface stuff. And then we'll have a spike kit also that comes with 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/2 inch spikes for those who are totally insane and want to
Gotcha.
stick it into things. So the bipod feet came from actually working with some other folks, and we actually had a barrier brace that we designed that would lock into M-lock for some of the military type things that we were doing, and then it's on the competition side. So the barrier brace was essentially a foot that would lock on the M-lock like a flashlight does,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's got a spike face on the front of it, so you could just ram it into a barrier
Okay.
and lock the front of your gun into something off of this. And we may eventually sell that, depends how the bipod feet go. But the bipod feet is almost lit for us. We had shown it and we were going to do it in 2017, and we've never made it to market with the thing. And at this point, I think even if we introduced a whole bunch of products that have nothing to do with bipods,
Uh-huh.
we're introducing this bipod foot.
Yeah,
My God.
it was going to happen.
Enhance your shooting experience with STOCKY'S stocks. Are you tired of struggling with mediocre rifle stocks that hinder your performance? Imagine having a high-quality rifle stock that not only enhances your accuracy, but also provides superior strength and a lightweight build. STOCKY'S Stocks offers a wide range of premium rifle stocks manufactured with hand layup carbon fiber construction, a patented carbon fiber AccuBlock, and multiple finish options. Whether you're a long-range shooter or a hunting enthusiast, our stocks are perfect for you. Experience unmatched precision and durability with STOCKY'S stocks. We provide stock installation instructions, technical support, and guidance to help you choose the right stock for your rifle. Upgrade your shooting game today with STOCKY'S stocks.
Well, that goes back to, like you said, having a large team to work with and improve things. That somebody, my previous life, I had a boss, and I was on a team of, let's say, 15 guys, and we were like regional managers, and we met up maybe once or twice a year. And when you met up and you're in this big horseshoe room and you're all conversating about different things, and somebody has a fantastic idea, and you raise your hand, and he would always say, "That's a fantastic idea. You need to take care of that." So it goes back to that thing. So like the bipod feed, it took somebody to take charge of something and be responsible for bringing it to market.
Mm-hmm.
So who was that person?
I'm going to say it was Brent.
Brent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
That was his baby.
Yeah, it was his baby. Baby when it started, and then now, of course, we're all working on it. So now it's all. I mean, we have production. They're running off our first production runs are being run right now.
Yep. On
so
the
we
new
should have-
twin spindle lathe.
Yes,
She's
yeah,
purty.
it is a
She's
DS30Y. Yes, so
Yeah.
these bipod feet come off completely done, off of the lathe,
Yep.
and so then they go to anodized, come back, they'll get retail packaged and shipped out.
And which bipods are these going on currently? What are the options?
So we have Harris. The larger ones are Harris, and the smaller ones will fit Atlas, and they're for Atlas bipod specifically. But we know they will also fit the Magpul bipods.
Yep.
So you can throw them in a Magpul, and I think some of the MDTs.
I think
don't
what it is,
all-
it's the ground pod that comes in the Arca and the
Uh-huh.
the pick. I think that's probably the ones.
That's
that
probably the one that
fits.
fits.
It's just not the sky.
We don't
pod.
have one to test. We've tested
Yeah.
the Magpul and the Atlas, of course,
Gotcha.
but we haven't tested for sure. So anything that will take an Atlas foot or a Magpul foot will take these. And then
these
we
are-
may come out with some other ones.
and these are available on your website now.
The Harris, one of the sets of Harris, the Harris quads are available on our website. The other 3 variants will be done and they will be available before SHOT Show.
Okay. Is there like a wait list you got on your website?
No, we
Guys?
don't. We don't actually take a wait list on them.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. People can get on the website and sign up for a wait list, but we will push all the product we have to dealers first if we can. So that's one of the other things is we do support our dealer base. That's our distribution. We don't sell like everybody else through wholesalers. So we sell to guys like Unknown Munitions. We have a dealer network that we sell directly out to them. They are our number one priority. Our web sales are a secondary priority always. So we try to push everything to our dealers first to give them the margin and first shot at things, and support them. And obviously we are always looking for dealers. And their dealers can be as small as a Small custom gun builder can be a dealer. There's no minimum quantities to buy to get into the dealer network. The only difference will be what your margin is that you can get, discounted price that you would get based on your quantity that you order.
And you did start, so we did a factory tour this morning, and you have put aside some product, a small amount of product of all the various cartridges to get those small dealers off the ground.
Right. That's yeah. So what we've decided to do, and we're holding back product that you saw there, so that when we get to SHOT Show, we're planning to push in January to try to sign up as many new dealers as we can, or small gun manufacturers, and we want to bring them online, and we want to have product for them so that when they hey, I'm going to need, because the small guys aren't going to be ordering a case. I got to clarify, right? So when we ship a set of product, one case of product is 16 retail boxes of 50 pieces.
800
right?
pieces, yeah.
So it's 800 pieces in a case. And most people the small guys don't need 800 pieces of any one caliber.
We were ordering half and half.
Yeah.
Back in the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they might want like 3 boxes of 7 PRC and a box of 6.5 PRC and 3 boxes of 300 Win Mag and whatever else. So what we've done is we've saved enough back so that we can hopefully fill a lot of those small guys if they're coming on. We want to be able to fill their orders and get them that product right away.
Nice.
That is pretty cool you do that, but I do see some 6.5 SOM back there that probably needs to get it to the world somewhere.
Yes.
I was going to say one thing about, I've shot a little bit with your single spike. And one thing I do like about it over the double pull spike from MDT, it's not as aggressive on the edges, because what you end up having is that's your focal point is sitting just on that edge.
Yeah.
And then you recoil and you have some weird shit going on your recoil. You can't get back on target. To where if you're sitting on 2 or even possibly 3 and the spike, you can, spot your targets a little better when you're shooting. I've noticed that.
So if a dealer does want to get signed up, how do they go about doing that?
They can email us at sales@atlasdg.com. They'll probably get a call back from Kevin. Kevin will probably help sign them up. But when they get signed up as a dealer, it's a pretty simple process. We have a dealer affidavit that is just a little single page thing that says you're not going to sell under MAP and that kind of thing, or advertise under MAP anyway. And that kind of thing. And that, and then we lay out sort of the dealer pricing and our price schedules for that. And then they place an order, and that's that.
Okay.
Most dealers that come on, I would say 60% of our dealers are on credit card terms. That's where we start out on, or they can send a check or wire transfer initially. And then after we develop a relationship of them buying from us, we can move to, if they request it, we can potentially move to net 30.
Damn, you
Gotcha.
still take checks.
We have a few people that
Good on
take
ya.
a picture and check and send it in.
But they don't have to have an FFL. They don't have to have a retail store. They don't have to have a website.
No.
Okay.
No, because, and a lot of the stuff, like we find that our product is being used, some of these custom gun builders, they don't have any of that stuff. They've got a shop and they're building custom guns out of the shop. They might have a small local presence. They aren't necessarily big time.
Yep.
They're not Gunworks yet. They're not anything like that, or they may not have any aspirations to be. Maybe they build 10 guns a year, but they need quality brass and for those.
Gotcha.
Your brass in all 50 states?
Yes, our brass is in all 50 states.
Fantastic.
Well, do you want to continue taking us through the new products here? So that was the Bipod feet.
Yeah. We have new for this year would be Bipod feet, our M-Lock rail covers. This is another little creation. It's really solving a problem on the M-Lock. So anytime you put attachments or anything on your rail, our M-Lock covers, one, they're plastic, so they do provide insulation in case it heats up under the hot barrel. So once you put them into the M-Lock slots, it actually provides insulation for your hand, hot and cold. So if your gun's really cold, it's insulating you from that, or if it gets hot, it's insulating you from that. But the other is they all have a groove down the middle of them, so you can route cables.
Nice.
So it'll attach the cable cleanly to the rail, and you can route them wherever you want on it. And we have 3 different colors: brown, black, and green.
Understand that one?
Yeah.
Get in here for the camera.
I've seen some guys, I would say in the tactical cool side, that fucking really needed some of those a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they had
They
cables
got the
all
shit
over
wrapped
going
around
on.
like
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
Yeah, gone is I think if you look them up on our website, I'm pretty sure the little description of them talks about getting rid of all your zip ties and your duct tape.
It does. It cleans it right up.
does a good job. What are these called? Is there a name for them?
M-Lock slot cover.
Slot cover with
That's
cable
right.
management. They come in a 6-pack, 3
Yep.
different colors. M-Lock slot covers from ADG.
Yes.
Got it. These are available on the website now?
Yes, those are available on the website now.
Okay.
What is the MSRP on that?
I think the MSRP
Good
on
Lord,
that is
son.
I just fucking
How
wrote it down.
high are you?
That's great.
Oh, I'm very
Damn
high.
it. I think they're $20 for a 6-pack.
Gotcha.
They might be less than that.
And I don't know if we covered it. Are
Thank-
you guys gonna make that for single pull or double pull?
Yeah,
Well,
so
some
we're
sizes.
gonna look at once we get these out, then we're gonna look at sort of what the market demands are, and if we have demands for it. Obviously, we're making them all in house, so we can tailor the back end of those things for just about anybody's.
So who do we got to get to email to make that happen? Like enough emails to you. That's what I'm about.
Oh yeah, clogging up an email chain.
Yeah,
Clog it up. Kevin at stg.com.
Poor Kevin. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Yes, our sales or info, either one of those, that goes to all of us.
Okay.
So everybody complains when lots of people call, either email into sales at AtlasDG or info at atlasdg.com.
Well, when you hear it in your, no, I mean to keep
Yeah.
bringing this up. You hear it in your brain, you're like, what the fuck do we need another leg for? Another. But these actually have function. Change out the spikes help because if you go from that ground like shooting in the Night Force,
Mm.
like having spikes, I would just run that by itself a lot.
Yeah, and
Yep. And then if you go to the Night Force where it's all that shit mud, you put in those spikes, it'd be a
No,
whole different ball game.
I have a tendency to reach up and grab the legs and dig them in a little bit.
$14.99 on your M-Lock.
there you go,
We're looking it up.
$14.99. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Luke. You were value add today. You take that back to your generation.
Oh,
So
we got more stuff up here.
Yes.
The one thing I'm excited about is
we're not there yet. Hold
Oh.
on, we're getting there.
oh yeah, that's the granddaddy. of
contain
them
your
all.
excitement.
We're also going to be introducing this is actually a bolt. It's a modular bolt for Remington action. We'll have them for short action and long action. And it's for anybody who has, let's say, a short action Remington receiver. They want to rechamber it to something else. Most of the time, the bolt face won't be correct, but this has interchangeable bolt heads. So you'll be able to interchange the bolt head in a Remington bolt. So you can put a Magnum head in a short action, or you could put it, if you wanted to, you could put a 223 head into a long action if you wanted to. So it makes it very easy to rechamber your gun to whatever caliber you want. And if you needed to later, you just buy a different bolt head. And then, of course, the knobs and the knob extension will be modular to it. And then the rear portion, so the front portion has the bolt head that can come out. And this is a 3D print. We have an actual machined bolt right here that we've manufactured in house.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is all a single piece. So the whole bolt body and the camming lugs on the back of the bolts are all a single piece. Then the only other piece is the
Gotcha.
thing. So anybody gunsmithing that is going to change calibers of a Remington action, this will be the ticket to be able to change calibers to whatever you want.
How about alternate handles and knobs and bolt fluting?
So we will start out with a basic, and then we'll probably end up with customs once we get them actually in the manufacturing process.
Mhm.
We'll probably add a fluted version and different knobs. The knobs will be very easy, and the thread pitch, and then when part of our partnerships with our dealer base, allowing them, we'll let them know, be free with what the thread patterns are and everything else, and what the timing is, if need to. So if you guys at Unknown Munitions wanted to make your own bolt handle or your own thing, it'd be very easy. We'd be happy to share the information with you guys.
Gotcha.
Or any gunsmith actually who's building guns and rechambering and going to use these bolts. We're happy to explain to them exactly how everything is done and everything is made.
Nice.
So that way it's seamless for them to be able to customize whatever they want. Obviously the bolt knobs are going to be easy. They're just thread on. So
Yeah.
it can be a big round, or we have this little triangle with the fancy ADG symbol in the end of it. With a conical bolt. We might start with that, although our machinists give us a little pushback on
really?
putting the logo in the end of it.
Really?
Well, it turns out that on that DS30, so when you hand something off from one side to the other on that, on our lathe, right? It needs surfaces to grab onto.
Yeah.
And so when you make a cone and you try to pass that off and do something on the other end,
Yep.
there's nothing to grab onto.
Yep. It'd have to be threaded onto something.
So
after
you'd
you
need
thread
some flats or something else to grab onto to
Yep.
do that.
it. Yep.
But anyway, no, that's some of the things we joke a little bit about in here. But but the idea would be, we'll probably come out with a pretty generic something like this, and then we'll probably add fluting later, and we will most likely any gunsmith that can make small parts themselves, we're happy to share the design information so that they can make their own parts if they want to for a
Gotcha.
client.
Awesome.
Kind of thing.
Having a main rifle and then a training rifle is becoming a big thing. So being able to switch out the bolt head's a cool idea.
Yeah. You
And
can
then-
have all of them. You can have the PPC. So 223 PPC, small.
Yeah, we'll start out with just what we will call. So we'll start out with the Lapua bolt face, the standard Magnum bolt face, and then the 308 bolt face, and then we'll also add the 223, and then we'll add pretty much everything eventually.
Yep, gotcha. The other one really for us, just like the ARC PPC,
Yeah.
was a 4. I don't remember, the 456 something.
You'd have to ask Greg about the specific diameters. I only have so much information in my head that I can store at a
There's only
single
so much
time.
room. Yeah, that's
There's
right.
only a finite amount of room. So that's what also works with multiple owners is Greg's part is to store that information.
There you go.
Or just to store where to go find that information.
That too. Definitely.
Sammy.org.
There you go.
Google it.
Definitely. The back on your bolt real quick. The knob itself. There's kind of I think there's a standard thread for these guys pretty much at this point. Are you guys going to stick with that?
Yes.
I want to say it's 3/16 24 or something like that. To where most of the other knobs
most of the
you
other
can buy
knobs will go on.
are going
Yeah.
on there. Yeah. Then you kind of have your basically your adapter handle there.
Right.
That'll work good. Lots of options in the market for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the thing you were most excited about is we actually have our own chamber reamers and resizing dies that we'll be introducing for our brass. So, and Greg can talk a little more about this, but they're specifically designed to work with the dimensions of our brass to get you the longest life possible out of it. If you use our chamber reamer, it'll give you the right amount of movement of the case based on our manufacturing dimensions to give you the proper amount of spring back, so expansion and spring back. And then the sizing die will bring it back into specification when you size the brass. And all our sizing dies, so the big difference is there's a lot more meat on these. They're going to be 1.25" thread. So they're a bigger thread than most 7/8 sizing dies.
Yeah, most 95 or more % of your current dies are all 7/8 dimension. There's great benefit to going to the bigger diameter, the 1.25". Most of your older reloading presses started off at 1.25" threads, and they now have adapters in them to adapt them down to 7/8. Rock chucker, for example. So if you have a rock chucker, you can take out your 7/8 adapter, and the 1.25" die screw right into your rock chucker press. But mainly the bigger the Magnum shells, and the bigger the diameter of the shell that you're trying to resize. If you're trying to resize a Lapua shell, that's 588 in diameter or whatever, and you've got a 7/8 die, that doesn't leave a very thick wall in your die to size the brass down. And when you have premium brass, the brass is fairly hard. There's a decent amount of spring back to it, a little bit more spring back than the Hornadys or the Remingtons of the world. And our dies account for that in sizing the brass down, sizing the harder brass down enough to handle the additional spring back
Gotcha.
that you have with the premium brass.
So these dies are going to extend brass life with minimizing brass movement.
Yeah, and to help with the whole clickers issue, right? That's one of the issues is you start dealing with the bigger shells, PRCs, RUMs, short action ultra mags. The walls of the dies get fairly thin, and when you start trying to size the base of those shells down, small enough to get them to chamber in a minimum chamber gun, then you end up stressing the sidewall of that die. And, you hear stories quite often of people splitting their dies and having issues and this and that. The 1.25" die solves that problem and allows us to size that brass down that extra half a thousandths or a thousandths more than what it needs to be able to ensure that it chambers fine in a minimum chamber gun.
Gotcha. When you guys are sizing here using your new dies, is there a specific type of lube that you like to use?
I'm an old school guy. I like the RCBS pad or the Lee pad and the thick gel that you squeeze onto that.
Gotcha.
It's hard to beat that stuff. The stuff that I don't like is probably easier. The spray on stuff.
Yep.
I've not had good luck with
The aerosol type of can.
Yes, I have not had good luck with that.
How about lanolin and alcohol?
Have not played with it a lot, but I would probably classify it toward the aerosol until proven otherwise.
Okay.
Greg said that's shit.
That's what he's saying?
Yeah,
he interpreted that for
You see, that's engineer talk for straight shit.
Yeah.
So,
Ryan said that, not me.
yeah, I said that. We have a question for you, and I know you're not going to like it.
Who's we?
Me and you, because we both said we got to ask him this. There is a fucking huge hole in this market, like big, about making custom dies. You shook your head instantly when we brought that up to you before.
Well, hold on, because Greg's immediate response to any question.
It's shit.
Marlon is rethinking the business case.
I would classify that.
Call it it's a potential future.
Yeah.
Potential.
Send in your case or send in a case shell. You could copy it. No?
Again, you get into so many variables in that. Again,
Mhm.
I'm not saying no, and never is a very long time. But when you start talking about a custom chamber and a custom brass and a custom die, unless you have all three of those things working in unison,
Mm-hmm.
you buy our brass, you buy our die, it all works. And, you're out somewhere and can't get ADG brass, didn't have it. You went to the store and you found some Hornady brass and you try it. Doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's the whole issue with the custom thing. Everything has to be this, and this.
So it's good.
Otherwise, it's more than likely not going to work.
It's definitely a good point to bring up, though, with all you guys in Wildcats and what you guys started investing your money into when you're thinking about a rifle build. So for those of you that are not aware, Widden is not making any one-off custom dies anymore, which really hurts the market because there's not a ton of easy options. I know Hornady did at 1K at one point. You can mail in some stuff and have some made, but I think everything comes down to volume now at this point. So the next Wildcat that you decide to invest in, for example, ADG will be making the 6UM both 30 and 40 degree sizing dies for us. Along with the head stamp brass, it almost becomes not a Wildcat anymore when you have all those tools available at your disposal. So next time you think about making a custom cartridge or a Wildcat with your rifle, make sure you can secure brass and dies first. Well, the brass don't even matter if you can't size down the brass back to the size that you need it to be. So very important thing to consider as you're talking about Wildcats.
Well, and to add on to that, what Greg was getting at with the different quality of brass, when you use brass, like our brass is extremely strong, especially down at the base and the head and the base of the shell. And because of that, it gives a lot more spring back, which means that when you squish it through the sizing die and reduce its diameter, and then you pull it out of that die, it's going to jump back out, let's say 2 or 3 thousandths from whatever the dimension in the die is, right? And that's going to be your final dimension of your brass, and then that's got to fit in your chamber. Well, if you use, we'll use one that everybody I think can agree is terrible, Bertram's brass, right? It might be soft, and so you might put it through our die, and it might have 0 spring back, which means it'll be grossly undersized. There. But so the problem comes in is that if you build a custom chamber and you start it out with terrible brass that's not very strong in the base, right? And then you go get your, hey, I just fireformed this in this chamber and I want a custom die for this. If we were doing it for ours, we'd assume, okay, you're going to get 2 or 3 thou spring back, this kind of thing. So in your original crappy brass, the die works just fine. But then you go and you're like, hey, this works. I can fire form ADG brass because I can get that now. So now I just changed to ADG brass. Now when I put it in there, instead of sizing it to there, now my brass is going to be 2 or 3 thou too big.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you start not having enough room in the chamber. You start getting clickers. You start getting all these issues because you switched your brass on and everything was working great. And then what happens? We've run into this before, right? Is somebody calls us and they're like, "Oh, your brass sucks. My gun worked fine before," and it's like, "No, you were just using super shitty brass to begin with, and you built everything on this custom die off of this shitty brass." And
yeah,
so
like the Hornady guys don't even know what you're talking about when you say springback. They never heard of it.
Yeah,
Ryan said that. Right.
When you have too many options for manufacturers for the brass, the dies, and all the other parts, and the reamers and reamer specs and everything that goes along with that's kind of how the PRC clicker issue kind of developed. I think is just all those mins and maxes and all those different manufacturers coming together. So what's nice about going back to the 6UM is that everything is made in one place. And everything's all matched up, and technically you can't get anything outside of that little ecosystem. So that should keep it more or less, let's call it virgin, because it's not, it won't be tainted in any way. There's just not going to be other manufacturers or other parts that come into that system.
Initially, until it takes off.
Right. And then you have people like, "Oh, I couldn't find your 6UM brass. So I bought some Hornady 6.5 gap, and I'm trying to use that, necking it down to 6mm, and
Well, we'll just say this. If it doesn't say 6UM on it, then it is not a 6UM.
You're done fucked up.
Yes, that includes the die, the brass, the reamer, everything about it.
touche."
Yes.
We got to ask the question, but when is this going to be available and what is the cost going to be? Because that's the next logical questions we're going to
Okay, I don't know the cost. Unless somebody out there listening right now wants to buy one for $1 million, I only need to sell 1
million. I'll bring it home with me. Just contact Unknown Munitions. This one happens to be a 300 PRC in my hand right now, and I'll take that payment and I'll get it back over here to Marlin.
They are well fucking built, people. I'll tell you that.
It's a brick. It's a brick shit house in your hand.
So we are. We'll have the final price, and we're kind of figuring out. We have the packaging coming in. We will have these available at SHOT Show. Our first limited run of them. And at least 4 calibers. And then we have
Definitely 300 PRC.
Yes.
Yeah, 300 PRC, 28 Nosler, 6.5 PRC, 7 SOM.
Okay.
And then we're deciding right now exactly which bushing or bushing set. We'll figure out what else is going to come with it.
Yeah.
So we'll have more information to come on these. Actually, we just got these first ones in on Friday last week.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And this is hard. This is a big chunk of hardened steel.
Yes.
Yeah. This ain't going nowhere.
Oh, it's fucking solid.
And this will be the preferred die for like I said, the 6UM, whether it be the 30 or the 40 degree shoulder.
Yes.
We're going to have them both. Speaking of 6UM.
Yes.
I thought that was tomorrow.
Oh, is that tomorrow? I thought we wanted to find out when the brass is going to be. You want to wait till tomorrow?
Leave them guessing.
Okay. Tomorrow then.
But I do have.
But these will be the dies.
Yes.
I guess technically that'll be next week.
Technically, yeah.
Touche. Yeah.
We may be recording tomorrow, but yeah.
We may put out 2 in 1 week.
Yes.
Yeah. A special.
So
we're actually coming up on episode. Is it episode 100 that's coming out? Oh, today.
100 episodes.
Come on, podcast manager.
Yeah.
What it?
Yeah.
It's episode 100 today.
Yes.
That's right.
Today.
Okay.
So the logical next question is what are you hiding from us?
Question of the week powered by ADG.
Why should you choose ADG brass? ADG brass. Well, actually, choosing our brass, the brass and the process that we utilize to make our brass, we provide the most consistent brass on the market currently. So if you are looking to improve your group size, if you are looking to get the best performance out of the firearm that you're using, if you're looking to push the limit because of the strength of our brass, this is the brass that is going to get you there as compared to other people's. Oh, and we're made in the USA, 100%.
What do you got? What do you got on the wrap?
What's the super secret
Okay.
sauce? What is the next cartridge
Greg-
coming out from ADG?
Greg's got. I can
He's
tell.
got something.
He's got some shit.
Marlon will
Yeah,
tell
if
us.
you're
Marlon will
if you're
tell us.
talking to Greg to get the communication answer, it's not the right guy.
No,
You made a
it's
bad choice.
The school teacher ain't gonna tell us shit either.
Well, it's got to be easy.
Yeah,
It
fine.
can't
You
be
need to
that
defend
top secret.
yourself.
What is
defend yourself?
what is the next cartridge that ADG is going to make? Other than 6UM, technically, that's your next
Yeah.
production cartridge. But what's after that?
So after that, this next year, we're going to move into some other, actually, they're a little lower volume ranges, but we will be introducing probably 7 STW.
Oh shit!
And then we're also going to be looking at some of the Dangerous Game cartridges, also some of the Safari cartridges. So we're looking at
416 rim mag, 338 Win mag,
Dude,
Blade just
like I said,
and don't forget the 338 Norma mag.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
338 Norma mag will be
Blaine,
coming
like
out.
just through osmosis, he got a boner right now.
little BB came out.
Just hearing
Yeah.
416 Remington brass. Oh, and half my redneck family got excited when you said 7 STW.
Uh-huh.
And I have not heard. They've asked me about if I knew anybody, and then I'm like, nobody's fucking gonna make something for that
Yep,
antiquated
yep.
cartridge.
Now
And-
that was one of the first cartridges that I designed tooling for when I worked at Remington.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Like-
Remington's the one who introduced it into Sammy, and I'm the one who designed the chamber and the test barrels and the tooling to make it in production.
Every time I talk to this man, it's like, and this is meant as a compliment. Him and Jesus are back there making brass together
Since day one.
since day one.
I made a bunch of cartridges when I was at Remington from mid
Damn, I guess.
mid 90s until
What
2013.
What is STW? Shooting Times
Shooting Times
Warner?
Westerner?
Shooting Times Westerner. Who made that shit up?
I forget what Lane Simpson maybe.
Shooting
How
Times
does that
Westerner.
compare directly to a 7PRC? Like volume wise, on your top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
It is
I-
like a
I-
mid-length cartridge, right? It's not like a short
Yeah,
magnum.
the 7 PRC is more like a 7 rim mag,
Yeah.
and the 7 STW is basically an 8mm rim mag neck down to 7mm. So it's a bigger case capacity.
Not as
than-
big as quite as big as a 28.
No, not quite. No,
Okay.
not as big as a 28 ouncer. No.
Okay.
Hmm.
I have
So this is the plan for 2025. Is that right, Marlon? These are the cartridges you plan to roll out during
Yes.
next year?
That's the cartridges we're going to roll out next.
Okay. Gotcha.
There is some rumor that we may be reintroducing some of what we refer to as the smalls.
Yes.
The smalls would be the 308 based.
Well, you are the rumor killer. So is
Yes.
it rumor or is
Yeah.
it not?
No, it's not really a rumor. It's not now, evidently.
There you go.
Shit.
I asked a bunch of people knew I was coming down here and they asked me 6.8 Western.
Oh
That's-
yeah. I mean that's out. That's
No,
out
but
now.
When's
So we
the
have
next. Because these guys say they can't find it. Can they find it?
no. They probably can't find it.
Yes.
So it's all so the. I guess this.
Well, tell you explain your runs.
Yeah.
If you don't
Yeah,
explain the
in
series of your
general- in
runs, they're
general.
not going to understand where it's at right
So this will probably get again Kevin at atlasdg.com. This is going to get some emails. So basically what we do is when we develop a new cartridge, we go through our EX phase first. That's our experimental phase.
Mhm.
So our EX phase is we usually run 1 or 2 baskets. And so like that's what you guys receive for the first 6 UM stuff,
now. No.
right? So a basket is between, depending on the caliber, between 400 and 600 pieces in a basket.
Okay.
So we'll run 2 or 3 baskets, and we do that on the weekends. We develop the tooling for the draw side and the finish side, and so we'll run it through and troubleshoot all of that to make sure that we can run the product. We'll make about 1,000 pieces. We'll do our own internal testing normally with that product. So we'll do live fire testing, hardness testing, dissect shells, do all this other things. Our fire testing, our minimum requirement is 10 reloads. We try to run near Sammy Max pressures for those. We don't do anything except trim during those reloads. So we just shoot it, size it, shoot it, size it, shoot it, size it, trim, shoot it, that kind of thing for those 10 reloads. So the EX run that's how that goes. It's maybe yield 700 parts, might yield 1,500 parts, depending on what the fallout is as we go through the process. During that, we might change some of the tooling setup at the draws and might have to go back and forth a little bit. So that process can take a little while. and we're running on weekends so we don't interrupt normal production. And then what we do is what we refer to as, once we have that ironed out, we'll order our production tooling, and we do what we refer to as our LRIP run internally, low rate initial production. So our low rate initial production is, generally speaking, we run about 1 day. So between 15 and 20,000 parts is what we run. So we'll run 1 day of the cartridge case. And then what we've been doing on all the recent production lots is our LRIP run will go out to people that will give us immediate feedback and put it in as many different rifles and platforms and people who are going to use it right away. Because we want to know, after the PRC debacle and all the clickers and everything else that happened, we want to try to face these things off. So we're going to send it out to anybody who wants to buy it. We usually give a discount on it. Usually we'll discount it 15 or 20% or something. And then they get a form with it to give us their feedback on their usage. Yeah,
Yep.
very specific. What load were they using? What rifle were they using? Who built your rifle? Well, who was your chamber? Was it a factory? Was it a this? Was it a that?
A lot of unknown munitions customers got that brass.
Yeah, and so we'll send it to guys like you. Send it out. We get those forms back, and then when we get those forms back, we use that to judge. Okay, do we need to make any design changes or anything we didn't catch during our development before we really get into a full scale production run and get it out?
You should be probably at the tail end of that 30 days for the 6.8 Western. Do you know?
Yeah, we are.
Is there any changes going to be made? Is everything good to go?
Yeah, based on the feedback that we've gotten, and they've really started to come in.
Yep, I've seen them coming
in
in.
some quantity here in the last week or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've really gotten any negative feedback from anybody really, other than hey, the mouths were rough, or
Mhm.
we don't prep or do anything with our brass anyway.
Yep.
But I haven't had anything that was like, hey, we need to make a wholesale change here or
Gotcha.
something.
So do you have an idea when the official production run is going to run for 6.8 Western?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait till next week, unless you know the answer, Chris.
We got
We can just talk production tomorrow if you want.
Yeah.
That fucker off real quick.
Yeah. We won't put you on the spot. We can talk production tomorrow.
Yeah, we can
Slash
answer a
next week.
little more specifics. We're still in the process of drawing and mapping out what our production schedules are for 2025,
Mhm.
running by family.
Mhm.
So I think for both 6.8 Western and 270 Wisdom, my memory is late April,
Mhm.
but I can confirm that as we follow up tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. And the Psalm family, when was that running next year?
Let's
December.
Just the Psalm family.
When? When?
He said, he means right now.
No,
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
was
good
just
as right
kidding.
now.
December's good.
No, I was just kidding.
We got to bump this up from August. We got to put you on the spot here. We got to get it before.
Well, we haven't looked at the production schedule. That's
Okay.
for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
We're
think
teasing
about
the next week.
January. Is there anything that's coming that people would like the 7 STW?
Yeah, he just laid it all out. Those are awesome
but is there,
offerings for
but there-
2025.
I feel like there's something they're not telling.
He feels like he's holding something
Is
back.
there some weird case we don't know about? You said the bigger cases for Safari stuff.
What about how about the 6 arcs and things like that? The more popular stuff that's coming up
I
in
guess
the world.
when I get into the smalls, obviously we'll be reintroducing probably our Creedmores. So you got 22 Creed, the 6.3, the 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah. There's some others that fit in that family, so that may not be out of the realm of speculation. We haven't decided 100% on these. That's why I'm just
Gotcha.
a little bit hesitant to
Speculating
say,
on
but
Yeah. But you are confirming that there's going to be some standard case heads running for next year at some point.
yes.
Gotcha.
I find it interesting you're going to run this 270 WSM and the 6.8 Western, which is like one of them can't make it. I hope both of them don't make it.
I was
myself.
actually very surprised at the
Yeah.
amount of inquiries about, especially the 6.8 Western. Out of the two of them, the 6.8 Western definitely had a huge.
Like what's the biggest
Well,
feedback you get from your customers on what they want out of those two?
one of the oddest things is that 300 Psalm, right, is out there now. We have some of that out there, and we literally, I was with Mark, one of the other business owners. We were in a cafe in New Mexico, and we're at a table talking about cartridges, and we start talking about the 300 Psalm, because now Mark is a weird aficionado of a 10 millimeter fan and 350 rim mag and stuff like this. So there's
350 rim mag?
yeah. So there's like him and two other people on the planet.
We've had fucking emails for that.
Yeah.
That's a fake.
So I told you, I got some redneck family members, and it'd be like uncle-in-law. If you don't fucking shoot a 350 Remington, you're a fucking retard. Like literally. And I'm like, nobody shoots a 350 fucking Remington.
Mark does. He's his buddy.
That's
buddy.
That's his go-to deer hunting cartridge.
So
They must be related.
Yeah, kissing cousins at least.
Yeah, we're literally this little town, Moriarty, New Mexico, at the Green Chili restaurant. And we're sitting there talking about this, and we're talking about 300 Psalm. And the guy in the booth next to us behind Mark is like, "You guys are making 300 Psalm?"
Oh, yeah.
Just out of the blue. You're like, there's like him and 9 other people on the planet that wanted it.
Yeah.
Initially. Turns out there's more than that. I mean, we've actually moved, I think, about 20,000 pieces. So
wow, that a lot, and a lot happens in that restaurant. Just put that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
yes, a lot does happen in that restaurant.
I don't think we have that. You must not have. I don't think we have 300 Psalm.
Well, right now, North American Ammunition is carrying it for us, and he was the one to really push us to make it. So he has an exclusive for a period of time.
Gotcha.
And then once that exclusive expires, we'll offer it to everybody.
Gotcha.
Out of the
Nice.
the 7 Psalms still leading the way as far as sales out of the Psalms.
Out of the Psalms, yeah, the 7 Psalm is the most popular, and we actually have this internal theory that 6.5 Psalm generally the sales will pick up after the 7 Psalm was gone because people were converting it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do think there is going to be a big push towards the 25 Psalm.
Possibly.
That's just a lot of bullets.
How about this? And how about for the people that your top 3 selling cartridges?
Good question.
7 PRC, 7 Psalm, and
In order?
yeah, what would number 3? Kevin would need to be here for number 3. He would know for sure.
6.5 PRC maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
6.5 PRC.
So 7 PRC is definitely leading. It's the same for us building rifles. It's definitely leading the way.
375 round.
Yeah, 375. 7 rum.
Yeah, 7 rums up there in the
7
fucking
rum.
list. That's right. That shit collects dust.
I got this question the other day on Rockslide, so I got to ask you guys it. You got to ask your guests more personal rifle questions. So you're going hunting tomorrow.
That's a good one.
What rifles you taking? What caliber?
What am I
rifle?
shooting?
Yes.
Yes.
That depends.
The rifle build and the
Marlon, what are you
cartridge and the
shooting?
load.
What am I shooting at?
Elk, of course. There ain't no fucking thing
Oh.
else.
Well, we're a long way from. We're not.
There's some
actually a long
elk
way
here,
from
man.
elk. They're 2 hours away.
So if I was shooting elk tomorrow, based on what I have, I would take I have a Snowy Mountain custom rifle, 7 PRC. I'd take.
What bullet?
I don't know. Something up north of 180 grains, but I don't know. Depends what I have loaded or what I can get Michael to load for me.
And this is a very important question. What scope?
Oh, there you go. So right now the scope
Now
that is
you're
on it,
meddling.
yeah. Let's
Loaded
see.
question.
Yeah, the scope that's on it right now is a Vortex Razor HD.
So you don't want to kill the elk.
Gonna wound it so it comes off the mountain.
Gonna
to the bottom.
Going to shoot over it
That's
and
right.
shoot under.
We don't shoot them at the top of the mountain. We wait for them to run down to the truck.
We're gonna shoot it. He's gonna run down to the bottom.
Greg, any question?
We'll go up. He's got the headphones on.
Sorry, you got the headphones on.
Let's see.
This is Chris. By the Chris is up.
This past whitetail season in
No,
Kentucky.
not whitetail. Don't count.
Oh, come on.
Elk. If you're going elk hunting
elk.
tomorrow,
If it'll kill a deer, it'll kill an elk.
yeah, generally,
Generally.
unless it has a vortex on it.
Nexus 300 PRC, 212 grain, ELDX. Vortex, 5x20.
You live in Kentucky, not Wisconsin. Okay, you said Nexus.
Gunworks.
Gunworks Nexus.
Oh, Nexus. So I'm not going to go into that on this podcast. We just had this. I have a Nexus.
That was the lunch discussion.
I have a
Let's leave it at
Nexus.
lunch.
Yeah. How long have you had your Nexus?
I've can I say whitetail?
Yeah. No, I'm just. This is. You're good. Now. You're good.
I've had it. We ADG has had it just a matter of months,
Oh,
and
go then.
I took a nice 10-point whitetail here in Kentucky, and so
Did it kill it?
it did.
I bet.
One shot, one kill.
Well, it's
One
Kentucky, so everything's like
one
40
shot,
yards and closer.
Yeah.
Big
One
exit.
shot.
Big exit wound. How far to go?
Oh no, it dropped.
Dropped on the spot.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, probably 85, 90 yards.
Okay.
So pencil entry, through and through,
Striking. What was the
exit,
bullet?
exit, pencil exit.
What was the bullet?
It was a
A
212.
212 LDX.
Yeah.
What the insides look like? So it penciled through the deer, basically.
Yeah. And
What range? What distance were you?
I was in an elevated box over a food plot.
Okay.
And this was incredible early morning. I mean, my Kentucky whitetail hunt ended in about an hour, which is incredibly unusual. And I purposefully did not take a shoulder shot because I didn't want to. I'm a meat hunter.
Yep.
Heck
So
Heck yeah.
and the vitals were still intact. Now it was, the lung was gone,
Okay.
and maybe 3 strides
Mm.
into the tall grass,
Nice.
where I had bush hogged on a food plot.
That ELDX is the funkiest bullet.
Yeah.
It does fantastic, and then it does some weird penciling and weird
Mhm.
jacket separation stuff. That stock on that Nexus is fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is. Got that leather. When you first see that leather, like when I first saw it, I was like, who the fuck puts leather on a rifle? And now I'm like, holy shit, that is.
Hey, what are you pointing at?
We have a leather cover now for the rock stocks because after shooting it for a while, I'm like, God damn, that is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is nice.
If you hang around Chris much at all, you're going to see that it fits his sense of style perfectly.
Yeah.
Leather
Got
chairs
it.
and lattes.
Oh, yes.
I see it.
Is that a compliment? Or
No, you were in the Air Force, were you?
No.
All right, Greg.
Greg,
You're in the hot seat.
Let's see. Considering my current audience, it would be a 6UM
Hey.
in whatever rifle you'd like to send me,
Wow.
with whatever
Well-
scope Ryan deems sufficient.
When's your 5-year anniversary?
You got to watch.
I would say that listening to the arsenal of rifles that you guys have from various builders and various cartridges, I would say that a fast 6mm is missing from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be coming up soon.
Yeah, I think my fallback though, honestly, would be a 300 Ultra Mag with a Barnes LRX bullet in it.
Okay. What is it? 168? No,
Yeah, there's all over the map.
no, 208. 208.
212. Can't you get 212 in that? And like 200 LRX?
190. 190 and a 208. And a 30 cal.
I won't argue with 300 rums. I think it's the grand. I know it's built, what, 99 is the day you made it. You and Jesus were back there
Yep.
hanging it up. That, to me, I burnt down 9 rum. I love fucking.
Oh, it's badass. It needs something like a 215 hybrid
Yeah.
up front, though, loaded way out
yeah,
there.
you got to quit neutering it with those copper bullets.
Yeah.
Besides that, what scope?
Well, that's what I said. Whatever scope
okay.
you deem sufficient.
I guess we might break down and buy a Maven someday.
How about
Well,
you
not
wait?
too-
How about you wait
guys.
on the one we're making right now? Then we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so I got another one. Last
Hold on,
question.
wait. You're making a scope?
Not personally, but we
Well,
have a scope
yeah,
coming.
maybe,
Okay.
maybe in the making.
I guess I could use a tracking point scope.
Oh, there you
want
go.
to lose an eyeball?
No.
Dude, I saw a guy at the Vortec Extreme Challenge, the track point team.
Mhm.
The dude damn near lost his eye because he pulled the trigger and was waiting. It didn't shoot. He turned and that fucker hit him right in the eye. Yeah.
You got to know how the system works.
You got to let go of the trigger before you turn your head.
Well, I don't know how that works, but once you pull it, it like shoots when it's ready.
Yes.
As long as it's
Tri-
still pulled.
As long as
Is that
it's
how that
still
works?
pulled. Yeah. So full disclosure, I worked for Tracking Point. I was
Did you?
director of their shooting solutions for
With
2 years.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Lord,
after
where
I-
the fuck haven't you been?
After I left Remington, I was in Texas for 2 years. But no, that system works by you tag your target,
Yep.
drops a red dot on where you want the bullet to hit. If you're happy with that, you squeeze the trigger. You line your scope up with that, and then when you're lined up and everything is correct, it had sensors on it, so you knew if you're shooting uphill, downhill, or if the rifle was canted. It took care of all that from a ballistic calculation point of view. As soon as you were lined up and you're still pulling the trigger, the gun would fire.
Sounds like some futuristic shit.
We-
Like you laser your target, then you could shoot from any direction, then the bullet
It
goes
hits
in.
you. It's like when they
bullet
threw
still
bullets
goes
in
in.
that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah.
Well, they were actually working on combined military technology to use the tracking point technology at one time after that to put, like, let's say a team of 3 or 4 snipers on.
Mhm.
They can all mark their targets and nothing will fire until everybody's on.
That's
that would
about
be
it. That's
sick.
the best.
So it's just 3 or 4 or 5 people, one
All hold-
bang.
Nice.
That's something like I think like the Bradley fighting vehicle has something with that 25 millimeter chain gun. 2 can fire, and one has to lock on, and the other one doesn't even have to see it. The gun just swings and shoots, and they
Mhm.
both hit.
Huh.
2015-ish. Were you working there? 2016.
Yeah,
That's when
it was. I left there and came here to ADG in early 2015.
Yeah, like June. I think June.
Yeah, that was about the time that they kind of went tits up, more or less.
Because it was right in that, maybe 2014 is when that happened. Actually, I shot it twice, and I hit the steel twice.
Well, I had
990, no problem.
first started. I brought my wife and my son out to a range that's no longer there in Liberty Hill, Texas, and we were shooting at 1,000 yards. Ryan was shooting the Lapua, and he hit 5 out of 5 at 1,000 yards. And my wife was shot a Win Mag, and she hit 4 out of 4 at 1,000 yards.
And Ryan was what?
Ryan was like 8 or 9.
8 years old?
That's your son?
And my wife is not a shooter
He's
either.
got a great name and kids. What happened to technology? Where'd it go?
Well, I mean, as Marlon alluded to, the government was interested in some of it. The technology, the samples that were available in 2014, 2015, while completely functional, were definitely not ruggedized for military type use.
Mhm.
And that was the kind of the path that things were going. And there were technical issues, and there were personnel issues, and there were money issues, and all that stuff. I'm not sure where it is at present. My knowledge is it still exists. A company in Florida or something, I think, bought the
rights to
bought the rights to all that stuff, and I think you can still buy systems today.
We saw one very similar to it at the Vortex, or not the Vortex, the Night Force Challenge.
Mhm.
Had that same shape, but they had it covered, kind of
Yep.
like they did. I don't know what it was, but it was similar.
Mm.
So I wonder if that was same.
Did he win?
Something they were testing.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the cool thing, one of the things I really liked
Night
about
Force
that
one.
whole system was just the fact that you're on the gun. I can be sitting here looking at my iPad and be like, no, not that animal, the one over to the right. Oh yeah, there, that one.
No.
A little higher, a little lower. Yeah, right there.
That's cool.
So if you were a guide or a dad or
Mhm.
whatever, that it made it nice. You could see exactly what they were seeing in their scope.
Nice.
But that's old technology now.
Now there's brand new stuff. But my last question for me is there bluegrass in Kentucky?
Of course.
Well, it says Kentucky bluegrass. Is it
Well,
from
that
Kentucky?
can be the
Yeah.
music, or it can be the
I was gonna say,
lawn.
Yeah,
There's
you're
literally
the wrong time of the
species
year.
grass that's called Kentucky bluegrass.
You're the wrong
Yeah.
time of the year
Yeah.
to be able to see Kentucky bluegrass. But
So-
yes, it is Kentucky bluegrass.
Jake's actual building is built right now. There used to be a company called Jacqueline Seed where we lived, and all they fucking did was have bluegrass. All those fucking houses out in Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene were just fields. When I was a kid, we just changed pipes out there, and it was all Kentucky bluegrass. But the fucking Californians moved in, and every year they would burn that grass. And the next year reseed it. They'd burn it to get the right, compound in the ground to reburn it. And all the Californians came in and fucking bitched. So they sold it all, and now it's all houses. So that was my Kentucky bluegrass story. So if they sell that shit, it's just gonna become fucking houses. So don't let them sell it if they're making it down here.
All right.
Good Lord.
Yeah, let's get me on the cough medicine. I'll talk about all kinds of shit.
All right. Well, we're going to be recording tomorrow, which will be next week. So tune in next week to hear about ADG's production schedule and some other cool shit. Thanks for listening.
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.